the ride.
Exactly, man. So no, we were off a few weeks. Um, you had some stuff going on. I had some stuff going on, and this week's topic. Sorry, I got brain fogged. I'm so congested and tired. Was parentification and children taking on
Oh,
um parental roles. But I want to kind of I want to talk more so about setting boundaries, which was last week's topic that we didn't get to go live for, only because in week one, we kind of dove into parentification and what that looks like and how that can show up in adulthood. So I know a lot of people, including myself, can have issues with setting boundaries and feeling the guilt and anxiety that comes with setting boundaries when,
mhm.
especially when you've grown up in environments where last week's word was enmeshment, where those roles can be blurred and intertwined, which makes boundary setting a little bit more difficult. And more so in a parental role, those that kind of take on more of a friendship with their children versus more of being their parent, and how that can affect not only both sides of that relationship, but how that affects a child outside of the home when there really are no boundaries at home, if that makes sense. I'm hoping I'm wording this
No,
correctly.
I think I understand what you're saying. And if I do, it sounds very familiar to conversations I've indulged in before.
Hmm.
Let me start by first saying or asking a question.
Yes.
In your opinion, so I don't need you to, so that way you're off the hook if there's no facts to support it. In your opinion,
Mhm.
what's the difference between being a child's friend and their parent?
I think from my perspective, I
Hmm.
think being a friend to your child means not necessarily not having boundaries, but making sure that the relationship and bond is comfortable enough in a way where they feel comfortable coming talking to you as if they would their friends. But I think the average person or most people, when they hear or think about being a friend to their child, I think I think that they perceive it as just letting them do whatever they want. They hanging out, they letting them indulge in different things that they shouldn't be indulging in, maybe like not having a curfew or drinking alcohol, smoking weed. And because we have some parents out there that we've dealt with that allow that. So I think that many perceive that as being a friend to their child, but in my own personal situation, that's not necessarily how I view it.
I think I agree with you that that's how most people would view a friend. And the more I dig into these conversations, the more I think that we miss something. Agreeing with you that being a friend to the child oftentimes creates an environment where there is no accountability,
Mhm.
causes me to ask the question, if a person doesn't hold you accountable, are they your friend? My friends hold me accountable. My friends have a very high expectation for me in outcomes, behavior, attitude, pretty much everything that I do. My friends, and that list is very short when it comes to friends, but my friends hold me accountable. So I would push back against the parent or the idea that not holding your child accountable is being their friend.
Okay. Then I had my thought and then I lost it.
Uh, I know what you mean by it, though. I do know that that's what they mean. I think what we have is, excuse me, I think what we have are poor working definitions. We use language without actually thinking about potential challenges that result from using one word over another. Because when you say quit being that child, you're their parent, not their friend. What you're doing is you're drawing this false dichotomy between the two. Why can't you be both? Better
Right.
question. Why isn't it your goal to be both?
Mm. Yeah.
I
Because
have a
go ahead.
me and my kids are cool. You know me and my kids, like,
Right.
but we've always been like that. And even as grown men, they still hold me to a level of respect, not out of fear. My kids talk to me about everything, especially JJ. That good God Almighty. Sometimes I'm like, "Hey, yo, dude, I don't want to know," but he's like, "No, I feel comfortable talking to you about anything." Why isn't that the goal of a parent? How matter of
Right.
fact, how can you effectively parent if they're not telling you everything?
Right.
My argument would be if you're not your child's friend, that might be more problematic than people think. On the flips, additionally, we'll put it that way. If you are to model, if your job is to model for your child, how oh, okay. It stopped for a moment. If your job is to model for your child, how better of a job to show them what friendship should look like, should feel like, than by being that for them? From the same example of a father who takes their daughter out on a date.
Mhm.
So that when she goes out on a date and the guy doesn't open the door, or the guy doesn't pull her chair out, or things like that, he's like, well, hold a sec. You have something to compare it to. Well, if you've not created that environment with your child or that scenario with your child, well, what do they compare friendship to? So they grow up thinking that your friend is just somebody that you have fun with, that doesn't hold you accountable, that lets you do and think and be whatever you want with no accountability behind it. And I would argue that is a horrible model. That person is not being your friend. They're being somebody fun to hang around, which is cool, but
Right.
that, don't get it twisted. I go and hang out with people, but that don't make them my friend.
Yeah.
A friend is very, very different. And so again, I would push back against a parent who says, I ain't your parent, I ain't your friend, I'm your parent. I was like, all right, good luck parenting that then.
Right. Because then that's how we end up with clients, especially the ones that self-refer. And
Man.
you call, you're calling to get the permission and everything, and they're like, but I talk about everything with my kids, and why won't they talk to me? And it's like,
Mm.
like,
I've had that happen in therapy before, which it broke my heart because it was a hard lesson that I had to learn. The parent was upset because the child was telling me everything and wouldn't open up to them. And the parent's argument was, she said, I have a problem with the fact that my child sees you like their friend. And I'm like, no, that's not the truth. You have a problem with the fact that the child doesn't see you like their friend.
mhm,
You're just pushing that off on me. Me being their friend isn't the problem. You not being their friend is the problem. As a matter of fact, you not being their friend is why we're here in therapy in the first place.
literally.
I didn't say
Interesting.
all of that, but I think she read between the lines and she quickly transitioned him out of therapy.
Oh, no, that's a whole other beast that we could get into, but that just,
Yeah.
oh,
Well,
anyway. But what is your take, since we're talking about this, parents and being friends, on the gentle parenting aspect of parenting? Because I've encountered people that view that as not only being like the gentle voice and being like this and babying, but like a blurred line or segue into being their friend with a negative connotation versus.
Then the question we have to, before we can answer that, we have to come up with a working definition of parenting. What does it mean to parent a person, an individual? I don't want to say a child.
Mhm.
I want to say, what does it mean to parent an individual?
I would say to teach them things that they need to know to be able to function in the world.
Okay. In counseling, especially in African centered counseling, we use a concept called other fathering. Other fathering is when individuals who may not necessarily be biologically related to a particular client takes on a role of like a father just because of it being a cultural norm. Like, you know, you got aunties that ain't really your auntie. And
Mm-hmm.
you got that one uncle, but he not really your uncle, but he act like an uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, whether you want to or not, and I know you've experienced this, you became in class kind of like auntie. And for some kids, you even became like a surrogate mother.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to give yourself the title. You didn't have to ask for the title. It's a cultural thing. It's something that we do in our culture. And I've learned to like leverage that. I know that they look at me like big brother on the low end, uncle on the higher end, dad on the highest end, to a
Mm-hmm.
point when even the mother came to me and was like, listen, she consults with me with making decisions with her child. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I don't want that responsibility though. And she's kind of like, no, that's how we see you. She's like, hey, what school do you think our kids should go? She's like, no, we value your opinion. You're part of the family. You're like almost second dad. She didn't say that, but it kind of like treated like that.
Yeah.
And we have to be aware of things like that when working with youth, especially youth of color, black kids. Let's just put it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially working with black kids, that they can see you in that role. Especially, oh man, and when dad's not actually there and they're looking for that figure, you fall into that role. And so we have to be very careful. I think what helped me to understand it before I even knew what that concept was, I am 46. I've been a licensed therapist for going on 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And so at about the age 43, I started, and I had one of my first clients was a male who was 40.
Mm.
And watching a 40-year-old man look to me for approval and validation,
Mm.
and watching him be careful of sharing certain things with me because he was fearful of my disapproval, I was like, wow, this grown freaking man has placed me in the role of almost like a father figure.
Yeah.
And I was
Especially
like,
with
oh,
that close of an age gap.
it it don't have nothing to do with it. Like my particular role automatically says, hey, we're not on the same level. My ticker
Mm.
role elevated. And so have you ever ran into like a child who like a 2 year old who calls every man they see dad?
Oh yeah.
And I've met several children like that. It's kind of like that component. Like they don't see dad as the guy who had sex with mom to procreate me. They see dad as the adult male figure in my life who validates me, who protects me, who teaches me, who guides me. They see it as something deeper. And I have to approach all of my clients with that understanding, knowing that this is a high possibility, if not probability, of how our interaction can or may go.
Mm. I like that. Because I have definitely, Lord, you know how the kids respond to me. I'm school mom, I'm school sis, and have encountered similarly to you parents that, or even staff that it makes them uncomfortable how open um, the students or clients can be with me, but not realizing that I joke around and speak with them on their level. There's that friend or that gentle way of guidance, so to speak. That way, when the big issues come up, they see me as a safe adult.
The problem that we have with our vernacular, if you will, or verbiage, is that many people equate gentle with weak.
Yes, I
Like
do.
gentle was typically an adjective we would use to describe women
Hmm.
without us really realizing that we see women as weaker
Hmm.
because it's a patriarchal
Softer.
society.
Right.
There's no stronger creature on the planet than the female. It's just this is just a fact. If a child dies between birth and the age of 2, statistically speaking, it's more likely to be a male child. Women can endure significantly more pain than men can, which is why we write the books. Because as long as we write the books, strength is determined by how much pain you can inflict. If we actually sit back and look at strength, we look at strength as how much pain you can endure. And if that's the measuring stick, it's not even close.
Definitely not.
It's not even
Monthly
close.
alone.
So when people say, what's up with this gentle parenting? My argument would be, is there any other type of parenting? Because here's the thing about gentle. Have you ever shook, and I'm gonna be really stereotypical here, so just roll with me, then I'll go back into clinical. Have you ever shook a man's hand who was soft, that was soft?
Yes.
How did it feel?
Weak.
And I don't mean soft as in he gets man, or even that too, but like he,
Like a flimsy.
yeah, flimsy kind of just melted in your hand. You kind of almost want to be like,
Hmm.
ugh, like, ugh, like
Like, where's the confidence in this handshake? The firmness.
gentle. See, that's a weak handshake.
Hmm.
A gentle handshake is firm without hurting the other person's hand.
Hmm. Oh, good analogy.
That's what we do with parents. I'm firm, but I don't have to hurt my child to show them how firm I am. You want to shake my hand and know, like, okay, I'm shaking a man's hand. Sorry, being sexist, but I'm shaking a man's hand. But also don't want that man should be humble, which is power under restraint. He should have the strength to break my hand if he needed to,
Hmm.
but he shouldn't be trying to break my hand.
Right.
That's gentle parenting. Gentle parenting, yes, I have the strength, but I'm choosing not to expose it if I don't need to. If I don't need to. And most of the time, we don't need to. We're just lazy. We know that if I slap that kid upside the head, fear is an immediate motivator.
Hmm.
Fear gets you an immediate response. If you sit and want to have a conversation with your child, it may be 45 minutes, 2 hours later before they finally have the light bulb comes on and they understand. You're not trying to invest an hour and an hour of your time into your child. You want to eat right now response. Now, there are some scenarios for people who give me pushback. There are some scenarios where you need an immediate response, but those scenarios are rare. That's like my child's about to run out into traffic. That's not the
Hmm.
time to be like, hey there. Hey, what you doing? That's the time you scream at the top of your lungs. You scream to get their attention. But once you have their attention, there's usually no need to scream anymore unless the increased volume is necessary for them to hear your voice.
I like that because
If
so many of us, whether it's our parents' generation and maybe even our generation, that still carry on that kind of parenting role, come from that, I guess you could say, overbearing, authoritative, almost like slave master
it's
kind
it not
of
almost,
parenting.
it's definitely a slave master. We have been colonized. Our
Yeah.
practices have been colonized. This is what happens when you put several generations through that experience and then you hide the hand of its origination.
Mm.
It's I'll give it to you this example. There are things that we do in a particular way because we don't, and we don't know why we do them. Boisterous. That's what I want to say. A boisterous young man, just a handful of generations ago, young little black boy who's very vocal,
Hmm.
could get lynched, could have been lynched. So as a parent living in fear, real fear, you're going to use whatever measure possible to make sure that that young man grows up soft-spoken and gentle, because you know that his aggression could be seen as a threat, and mom is going to make sure she preserves the life of her child.
Yeah.
And so now you do this for a couple of generations, and this just becomes how you raise a young man. Now you remove the slavery environment, but you still have the practice. And here it is multiple generations later, and we're still beating the aggression out of our young men. I use them as an example, not to say that I would do the women any different.
Mm-hmm.
But we have this nature where we were like, oh, that kid always fighting. I'm like, good. Some people need to be slapped in the face.
True.
What you mean? I'm not against fighters. What we need to do is teach them discipline in fighting.
Right.
See, a kid that can't fight can't be humble. A kid that can't fight can't be humble. You're not humble, you're harmless. You're not humble, you're harmless. You couldn't bust a grape in a fruit fight. You couldn't do damage if you want to. You have to shut your mouth because you can't fight.
Yeah.
You can't protect yourself. So you're quiet and you're not being humble by keeping your mouth shut. You know that you're afraid to open your mouth because you know if you say the wrong thing, that person will put their foot down your throat and you can't do anything about it. That ain't how we're supposed to be raising our kids.
Yeah.
I want my children to be vocal. Now, as a child, they have to learn balance. So initially, yes, they go too far. Yes, they say too much. Yes, they do too much because they're children figuring it out. And when they do, you don't beat it out of them. You teach them how to use it.
Yeah.
You go to martial arts, one of the first things they have us do is stretch and meditate. And then the last thing they have us do is stretch and meditate. Why? Because they know the most powerful thing you have is your mind, your control, your discipline. So yeah, but in between all of that discipline they're given, they teach us to fight. What do you say? I would rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Mm. Oh, that for anyone out there that doesn't even understand that analogy, I have the perfect visual for that. If you've seen the movie 300, the first one, when they ended up having to, they had to get more fighters, and the fighters that they end up having to get were just regular common folk men. And he was like, let me look at your hands. And he looked and he was like, what do you do? And I think one of them, it was like a gardener or a blacksmith or something like that. And he was like, yeah, those not hands of a fighter. That's like the perfect thing for that, because you haven't trained for this. Like, we need fighters in this war, because they was fighting against some astronomical kind of beast and stuff out there. Like, what you think you getting ready to do?
See, our thing is we don't understand children, and we're the adult. Yet we want the child to understand us, but they're the child.
Right.
They are communicating using the language that they have currently. Their language may be smacking their lips. Their language may be rolling their eyes. That's all data. That's all data. So if you as an adult can check your ego and realize that them smacking them lips ain't got nothing to do with you and get out your feelings, you could learn something. They're trying to communicate something to you. And sometimes they just use the language that's comfortable to them, but we get all in our feelings about it. And so we miss the message. We miss the message. We as adults have to ask the question, how much do I genuinely value my child's success? Notice what I didn't say. How much do I value my child? I said, how much do I value my child's success? That's different, because when you've put the focus on their success, you're responsible for the outcome. I'm looking at, hey, I need you to be a healthy, well-rounded individual. And my job is not just to protect you and provide for you, but if your kid grow up to be a nothing, you fail. You didn't do your job. Like you didn't get them what they needed. Not to say that they can't figure it out later, but yeah, you weren't it. So you got to
Right.
look at what having 5 kids. I learned the hard way that you have to figure out individually what does your child need from you.
Yeah. And that's something recent that I've been dealing with Kyra, and you know what kind of kid I have, and just me trying to work with her dad, me and her trying to get her on the right track, because in his mind I was the friend parent.
You were.
And yeah, because she will tell me stuff, but there was still, even with her feeling comfortable telling me what things, you and I both know kids, there's still going to be something that they don't feel comfortable enough to share. And
True.
so, over the past few days, we've been working through that and getting her the right resources and things that she needs to get her to understand, to kind of push her out the nest and be more independent, less codependent. Again, we setting those boundaries, because I was so focused on not trying to be the type of parent that my mother was to me, that it blurred some lines in certain areas when I was raising her.
And
That Go ahead.
I want to give you a little pushback, just a little
Okay.
pushback. Um, in perspective,
Hmm.
you and I
Hmm.
grew up in an environment where we figured out early wasn't nobody coming to save us.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so we've learned how to, one, you got to go get it on your own. But two, it makes receiving help really uncomfortable.
Ooh, yeah.
Why? Because you've not been conditioned to receive help. You don't know how to respond to help. You ain't got it. You ain't had no
Yeah.
practice with it. And so when somebody does come along, it feels weird even asking because it doesn't align with the identity that you've ascribed for yourself based on years and years and years of repeated habits. Now
Hmm.
let's flip it. Now you have a child who has a parent who showed her from the moment she popped out, like, I got you.
Hmm.
I got you. So all she's known for 20 years, she's 20 now, right?
She's 21. She'll be 22 in a
Shoot,
few weeks.
crap. All right, well, 22. She's 22. For 22 years, all she's known is somebody got me.
Yeah.
That's been her whole experience. She can't think of a time when mom didn't, to the best of her ability, be like, I got you. So she looks like a child who's now an adult who grew up in an environment and ain't never seen the bear.
Facts. Yeah.
My question is, why is one good and one bad? Why aren't they just different? The child who's never seen the bear has to learn about bears. The child who's only seen the bear has to learn that everything ain't a bear.
Hmm. Yeah. Perspective.
One's not better than the other. They're just different. For every kid who grew up with everything, we'd be like, oh, I'm gonna make sure when I get my kid, I'm gonna be tougher on them.
Hmm.
And the kid who grew up with tough parents, be like, I'm gonna never be as tough as my parents. I'm gonna be nicer to my kids. Like, how about none of us know what the heck we doing and we all trying to figure it out and we just need to
Ooh.
treat each other as individuals and take the time to learn. I'll put it like this. Um, I do not believe in cultural competence. Cultural competence is lazy
Hmm.
because what it tries to do is it keeps you from having to do the work by assuming things about a person based on your ethnicity, cultural background, race, whatever you want to call it. I think I know you.
Hmm.
Instead of being culturally competent, a more accurate and more dependable strategy would be to be culturally curious. To be culturally curious. With every individual who walks in my room, I assume one thing: I don't know you.
Hmm.
That's the assumption. I don't know you. And every parent should make that same assumption about their kid. I don't know you. I'm learning you. And learning a person is not a one off, it is a lifelong journey.
Yes.
And if you take the approach that I'm constantly learning you and unlearning you and relearning you, and that this is a journey, not a destination, there's never a point where you get to the point where, like, I know my kids. No, I know things about my child, but I don't know them.
Hmm.
Hell, you don't even know you. You be like, oh my God, I didn't even know I had that mole there. It's just like, you don't even know you, but you're supposed to know your kid and make decisions accordingly. Like, no, you're not being real with yourself. You're putting an unrealistic expectation on yourself. You can become the best you can hope to become is less ignorant. That's the best you can hope for, is just less ignorant, because people are so vast. They're so complicated. People are like, well, people aren't that complicated. Well, certain aspects of people aren't that complicated. Like, people typically want the same things.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be understood, we want to be valued, and we want to feel like our life matters. How we express those things may be different, but it's the same root. It's the
Yes.
same root. So from that perspective, are we very similar? Yes. But how those things are expressed are about, it's like, what color, which blue is blue?
Mm-hmm. Right. There's
Yeah,
a whole lot of them.
you ever been to Home Depot? You only see different shades of blue there are.
A lot.
A lot of them. I think we're like the color blue. There's so many variations in it that just calling it blue is an insult. Just calling it blue is an insult. And so I'll never know my kids. It's just I'm a little less ignorant every day. Just a little less ignorant.
Yeah.
I'm learning. And I'm okay with the fact that I screwed my kids up really good. Really, really good. I'm okay with that. I don't feel bad. I don't feel like a failure as a parent, because all I could do was my best, and I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, Dad, you did this and you did that. I'm like, you are right. Go to therapy. That's what I tell them.
Literally.
How did you expect me to
That's what
do
it's there
something?
for.
How did you expect me to teach you something I didn't know how to teach you?
Right. Man. Yes.
I'm not going to put that on myself and be like, well, you should have. That's not how none of this works. There was always going to be something I missed.
Yeah.
There was always going to be something. All right, you do better. And they
No
will.
manual.
That's it. But I did try. I prefer gentle parenting. I think my kids hated it for the most part. They'd be like, "Oh, so you want to be stupid, huh? Oh no, you're not getting a whooping. You want to be stupid? My job is to help you be unstupid. So guess what we're about to do? We're about to write a report. We're gonna write a report. Why? Because how do you get unstupid? You start learning stuff. We're gonna learn today. You're gonna research this. You're gonna write a 5-page essay on this topic, and you'll be in your room until you finish the essay.
That's crazy. That I used to do Kyra the same way. I would take all her electronics out. You're gonna read this book and you're gonna answer these questions. Even over the summer, like she thought she was getting a break. You're gonna do these math worksheets. You're gonna read this book. Here's the questions for it. There's an essay at the end. And she hated it during the time, but then by the time she got to high school and they were reading the same books that I was making her read in elementary and middle school, then she's like, oh, like, yeah, see?
I think there was one time my oldest was being a really bad big brother. Like he threw his little brother up under the bus and basically let his little brother get in trouble for him. Let his little brother get in trouble for him. And when I found out what he had did, I was like, wow, you were willing to watch your little brother get a whooping just so you didn't have to.
Right.
And I'm just like, that's not a good model leadership. And so I was like, who do you think is a good leader, was a good leader? And I think he said what all black kids say, Martin Luther the King. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, guess what? I need you to write me an essay. I need you to explain to me what are the qualities that make Martin Luther King a great leader, why these qualities make him a great leader, which one of these qualities you feel like you have and why, and which one of these qualities you feel like you needed to develop and why. And then when he was done, now you need to read it to me and you need to explain these things. We're going to have a dialogue about this because I don't need to punish you. My job is to educate you, not teach you, not teach you. My job is to educate you. To educate means to draw out. There is a leader inside of you. There is greatness inside of you, and I need you to see it. But we're going to start off through the lens of understanding it first. And once you start understanding, you start realizing, hey, maybe I'm not exhibiting this quality, but I know that quality is there.
Yeah.
All right, so I need to start exhibiting these things, and oh man, I did that. That was definitely the opposite. I need you to start understanding. I don't need you to just feel bad for your action,
Yeah.
because one of these days I can't whoop you. One of these days you're gonna be bigger than me. I'm gonna have to shoot you. so, so I need you to understand. The problem is that takes time because now I got to explain the assignment. I got to read the assignment. I got to review the assignment. I got to make corrections and edits. I just created more work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And most parents, after a long day of work, don't want to add more work to their plate, even if adding that extra work to their plate will help in the development of their child.
Yeah. Especially
No
when they have
joke.
multiple kids too.
I feel them, but I got 5, so forgive me if I'm not that empathetic. You crying? You got 2. You got 2. What do you got the 2 little baby buddies? You got 2. I have 5, and we
Yeah.
ain't have. And we was poor, so we ain't have money. So I don't want to hear nothing about I'm broke. I don't want to hear nothing about working 4 and 5 jobs. I want to have nothing about I got a lot of guys. I don't unless you come with 18 kids. I ain't trying to hear it.
Mhm.
2, them kids didn't ask to be here. Okay, on a spiritual level, yes, they did. But from a
Yeah,
practical
but
standpoint, from your standpoint, you got them here.
mm-hmm.
Love these kids. Be gentle with these kids. When my kids die, I need them to know a few things. I need them to know, not believe, I need them to know. I don't believe is what you do when you don't know something. I need them to know that their father loved them. I need them to know that they were valued. I need them to know that I liked them as individuals.
Yes.
And I need them to know that they were whole and complete in and of themselves. That there was nothing that they could do to make them. They're Bentleys. They're Bentleys. I say Bentleys because what can you do to a Bentley to make it better? Matter of fact, you put rims on a Bentley, you just decrease the value.
Literally.
I want them to know that they don't need upgrades. Not to say that you don't want to continue to develop yourself. It's not really even about the self-development. It's actually about self-realization. As you start realizing that the person you are is the person you're pretending to be. And as you get older, hopefully you'll learn to really be you.
Mm-hmm. You'll be
The,
comfortable with it.
the degrees ain't me. The degrees are roles and characters I've had to be in order to navigate this thing called life, but they're not me. I'm enough. Matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
it's when I get this PhD, you already know my rules. If you know me, you call me Rev. If you don't call me, it's Dr. Streeter. that that title is just for the others.
Yeah.
Because I don't need it. I don't need that title, but that's for the others. For my people, you better call me that if you want to. You want me to cuss you out? Don't call me that. Show me that you know me. Show me that you love me. My family ain't calling me that. That's for the others.
Yeah.
Because those things don't matter to me. How much money you make? Yeah, money's important, but what's more important is what you can do with the money. It ain't the money. Oh, I'm a millionaire. Who cares? You're gonna die like the rest of us.
Literally.
I'm get it. No, go ahead and get the money. No, get it. Like, but
Right.
do something
How
with
are
it.
you gonna use it? Right. That just made me think of my nephew. He took me and Kyra to go see the Michael Jackson movie
Mm,
last week, and we enjoyed that movie so doggone much, and I loved it because it showed so much of a different side of him versus the original Jackson movie. Like without the like we all know at this point that Joe Jackson was abusive and used to beat the heck out of him, you know? But it was refreshing to see through all of his fame, all of his money, how he gave back. Like how he was in the hospital after the Pepsi incident and he got burned. He in there feeling bad and everything, but he going around visiting everybody in the all the burn victims unit.
Mhm.
And knowing that he got to get back to work and all of that, and he's telling his manager, "Hey, I need all the proceeds to go back to this burn unit." Like, just to your point of, like, you can make the money, but what are you doing with it? How are you using it to help other people? Because as we can see, it can't go with you. So how are you going to use this tool that we've unfortunately put so much value on? How are you going to use it in order to better the lives or help other people?
I'm learning that everybody has a role to play.
Mm-hmm.
And most people of a Christian background would be familiar familiar with a man by the name of Judas.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read the Gospel of Judas, Judas didn't think he was the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't think he was the bad guy. When I look at Judas, I don't think he was the bad guy. I think he was just Judas.
Mm-hmm.
He had a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
He had a job to do, and he did it. Sometimes your job is to be the bad guy, and it's when I say the bad guy, I'm doing that with air quotes
Yeah.
because the bad guy is relative.
Right.
The bad guy is relative, and so I'm learning that sometimes people, for their lived experience, and I know it's going to sound terrible, they needed to be a particular character. There was something they were going to learn in this life, and the only way they could learn it was by being that character. And after having those experiences, they came to a particular conclusion that maybe they wouldn't have come to had they not had those experiences.
True.
As a person who hated school,
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't have told me I was going to one day be getting a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want my high school diploma. I didn't like school. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think that that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
But then I had life experiences that shifted and shaped my theology, my philosophy, my belief systems, my everything. Like all those things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so people are like, oh man, I love the man that you are. Well, I'm not that man if I don't have those experiences. I'm somebody completely different.
True.
And what we try to do, and fail miserably at it though, what we try to do is prevent our kids from having the very experiences they need in order for them to develop or aspects of themselves to blossom. I asked the congregation on Sunday, I was like, would anybody disagree that in life you need to go through something to grow? Everybody agrees that, like, you got to go through something. That's how development happens. You got to go through something. Great. So the second question I asked them was, well, since you hate what you're going through right now, tell God what you'd prefer to go through. Yep, that's how the room was, real quiet. So you don't have a better suggestion. Oh, so how about you just shut up and go through what you're going through, and let the person, and let the grand designer be right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All right. If you know that these experiences are opportunities for you to see just how dope you are, if you understand that concept, let the creator create the environment for the dopeness to come out. Or if you really hate the one that's been selected for you, then you pick the one you want to go through. You pick it. You pick it. And I'm learning to just like, listen, part of parenting is realizing that kids need to mess up.
For sure.
I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago when I was on here. If I didn't, I don't care. It's my favorite story. But the favorite thing I loved about being a parent was teaching my kids to ride a bike. It was my favorite. It was legit my favorite thing. Oh my God. I hate the fact that season is over. Like all I can do is daydream about it. But my favorite part wasn't when they learned to ride the bike.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part was when they crashed. Oh, I loved it. That's my favorite part, watching them crash. And it's like, that's kind of messed up. Why you like it? It's not the crash that I like. Because in that moment, you learned everything you needed to know about your kid.
Mm-hmm.
Because
After it.
some kids throw that bike down, they storm off in the house, and they never learn to ride the bike. Good luck with that one. Good luck with that one. But if they cry, wipe their tears, and with a little support, get right back on the bike, they're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
They're gonna be all right. And then you get a JJ who was like, I don't need your help. I'm gonna teach myself to ride a bike. Just stubborn since he came out the freaking womb.
That's
Just stubborn.
for you.
He gonna do it his way.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to accept it. And I'm just like, you can't just do it your way. You can't teach yourself to ride a bike. You 5.
You better like watch me.
Man, I went in the house, fixed me some red Kool-Aid, a Bologna sandwich, Bologna, and some Ruffles chips, and sat down and watched me some television. And I figured I would just sit and wait till he come knocking on the front door saying, hey, I need your help.
Mm.
A whole TV show had went by and the door, nobody knocked on the door. So I'm like, okay, well, let me go outside and see what's going on. Did somebody kidnap my kid? I come outside and he riding up and down the sidewalk.
Like I told you.
He was he probably, I know he fell.
Of course.
I know he got hurt.
Of course.
And I know he wanted some help. He was just too stubborn to ask for it. And he was like, listen, I'll do it the hard way before I admit you was right. And that has just been the way he's lived his life. And that is honestly the thing about him I've always loved the most. He's the most stubborn person I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
But when he makes his mind up to do something, nobody can stop him.
Yeah.
So going back to that gentle parenting, the average person, when they say my child is stubborn, they mean it as an insult. When I say my child is stubborn, I mean it as a compliment.
Yeah, because you see what his stubbornness can do for him.
Gentle parenting is realizing your child is great, that they're a human being, that they're an individual, that you don't have the right to abuse them physically, emotionally, verbally, mentally, or monetarily. It's just because you're bigger than them. That's not parenting. That's just abuse. Yeah. And I'm sorry if slave master has trained us to believe that abusing our kid is called disciplining them or raising them or guiding them or parenting them. I'm sorry if that's what we've been taught, but we need to unlearn stupid stuff.
Facts.
We did unlearn stupid stuff. You can't beat your kids into being better. And I hate it when people be like, we used to go to Kid David. There was a guy there. I ain't gonna say his name just in case he ever watched this video. He used to be like, my parents used to beat me and look how I turned out. And I was like, dude, exactly. I'm about to stop hitting my kids today. Look at you. Right. Dude, you are messed up. You're not okay.
Right.
Like I love you and you're cool, but dude, you not okay?
Man.
You're not okay. Yeah, it's like, yeah, did we not do some of the things that the kids do today? True. That doesn't mean we were better behaved.
Right. Just different times.
It means a better behaved child does it because it's the right thing to do, or doesn't do it because they realize that it's the wrong thing to do. Mm-hmm. If they're only doing it because they're afraid of the consequence of not doing it or whatever, they miss the point. Because at some point in time, the consequence is going to be gone. The question is, once that consequence is gone, do they now do it?
Right.
They need to make these decisions because they realize that doing something or not doing something impacts their life in a way. And they need to learn that decision early, and that takes patience and time. And I love my sister Larice because that's how she raises her daughter. Now her daughter will throw temper tantrums, and sometimes letting her daughter work through her emotions takes a lot of patience. And parents are like, oh my God, that kid just, how you just let your kid? And I was just like, listen, don't worry. In 20 years, I'll be here to be a therapist for your kid that you're gonna beat right. But she's teaching her child that it's okay to have feelings, and she's teaching her that hey, you might be upset about it, but you do still have to go to bed,
Yeah.
and not just because I said so. Let's process through it so you can understand why you need to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And once she understands why she needs to go to bed, as long as that understanding stays accurate, the next night there's less of a fight because she realizes,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, going to bed right now is something that helps me.
Right.
It's not just well, if I go to bed now, mommy ain't gonna beat me. Like, nah.
Yeah. That's the kind of parenting I love, where a parent is going to explain why there's a particular rule or a particular thing that they're telling their child to do versus just the because I said so. And it makes me think, I just recently saw a video of a young man who he was making it for single mothers with sons, and how he grew up where his mother pretty much really didn't allow him to make decisions. It was what I say goes. But now that he's an adult and in a relationship, his girlfriend is like, "You're the man lead." And he's like, "Oh, like, I don't know how to do that because growing up, I wasn't allowed to make decisions." And there were so many women, so many moms in the comments that were like, wow, like, thank you for giving us this perspective, because so many of us still like comes from that background, that slave master parenting background of do as I say, not as I do. Children should be seen, not heard. Like over enforcing boundaries to the point of their child's own detriment. And so I love just how there's so many more parents now that understand that it's not just about telling a kid what to do, but the reasons why. So they have an understanding. Because, like you said, once they have that understanding of how it's going to affect them, they're more likely to adhere to it and see how it benefits them.
Especially if your kid's smart.
Oh, yes.
Smart kids ask why.
Yes. And I love that.
But most parents don't like kids who ask why. They feel like they're challenging their authority.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what authority?
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole human being right there. I get it. You're responsible for them, but what does responsible mean? What does responsible mean? And is there a better way to get the outcome that you're looking for? Is there a more optimal way of getting the outcome that you're looking for? I used to think it was a flex that if I told my kids sit down until I got back, when I left, they would sit there and wouldn't move. And when I came back, people were like, "Oh my God, your kids just sat there."
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a flex. They sat there because they were afraid to move.
Right.
That's not a flex. I just bullied kids. Like, why are you
Yeah.
proud of yourself because you bully your kids?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Fear
a
is not
flex.
respect.
It's a flex if they sit there because they understand the importance of your guidance.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, hey, if dad's asking us to sit there, it's probably for my best interest. It's probably really important that I sit there, and I'm gonna sit there. And if they don't understand, they should have the freedom to be like, hey, dad, how come we had to sit there? They should
Right.
be they should be allowed to be curious and grow and learn and understand. And so when we end up having these grown adults that don't know how to set boundaries and ask questions, it's because they started off as little kids who weren't allowed to ask questions or set boundaries. Go give your uncle a hug. What if she don't want to hug that
Want to.
uncle?
Yep.
Quit playing
No
and go give your uncle
autonomy.
a hug. I used to hate my aunt. Go give her a hug. He kissed me on the corner of my mouth, and her lip would like touch the corner of my lip. I hated that. But you had to go hug your auntie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like one thing. I loved it when my sister was like, "Hey, you want to give your uncle a hug?" She said, "No."
Mm-hmm. Remember you mentioned that in the previous live, and it was like,
I was
okay.
like, but then now when she's like, "Do you want to give your uncle a hug?" Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But her mother never tells her to give her a hug. She always asks her. She teaches her bodily autonomy. That's
Mm-hmm.
gentle. So when she finally decides many years later to be in some type of relationship that requires or leads her into some type of physical intimacy, she's going to feel comfortable saying no.
Yep.
It won't even be a question to her. It'll just flow naturally
Mm-hmm.
because she just in her mind doesn't everybody have right over their body?
Right.
That's that's just her norm.
Yeah.
That that's gentle parenting.
Love it. Well, as all good things, they must come to an end. As always, I appreciate you coming on, having these talks. I think they are so very beneficial for the viewers, and I'm not even gonna lie, for me as well. Go ahead and tell the good people how they can stay in contact with you, what you got going on.
My Life Now, that's MIE Life Now. That's on all social media platforms and emails. MIE Life Now stands for Motivating, Inspiring, and Empowering Life Now. What we're going on now, right? I mean, I got a few things. I can't talk about a couple, but I got a book we're working on. I got a documentary we're getting ready to start, and a few different youth projects as I get ready to transition out of a couple of positions. Just looking for what's next and positioning myself to really have to utilize these experiences to have a impact in a different way. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
Impact in a way. Don't. As we get a little closer to some of the ends of some of them, I'll shout those things out. But for right now, hey, if you go to the page and you like or you share or you follow, it's always appreciated. And I hope to get back on the bandwagon and produce some more content myself.
Yeah, because I'll be looking for it sometime. But I understand you're a man of many hats.
Many jobs. I'm tired as all get out.
I understand. And as
We'll be back
always, you
at it.
guys know how you can contact me. Click the link in my bio. It has all my social medias, how you can get in touch with me, as well as all my digital resources. I'm still promoting my Choosing for Me Transformation Bundle, $22.22. Remember, before we close this out, it's okay to be down, but please don't count yourself out. All right. All right, Mr. Jake. Thanks. We will see you guys next week on Therapy Thursday. And until next time, guys, peace.
Yep.